Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We've also got Andre Onana's first interview as a Manchester United player, technically. We've also got comments from Wayne Rooney saying it's time to go for Harry Maguire and the Glazers. We'll be talking about that as well. Also, it's match day. We've sold another player, not for very much money. We'll talk about that as well. Højlund, what's going on there? But I want to strive to the next level for Manchester United. But I want to start with Jacob says Rooney loves the Glazers. I mean, look, Wayne Rooney is a legend of Manchester United, but he's like a lot of footballers, a legend with his feet, but can't hit the ocean from a boat with his opinions on key factors around Manchester United. I mean, look, these are footballers who've earned a lot of money out of the Glazers as well. You know, they might have really good relationships with the Glazers, and some footballers put relationships and mates rates over what's best for the club. We've seen that in the past, haven't we, when Solskjaer was here? So, look, at the end of the day, we'll get into those comments in a moment. Seven Samurai, welcome to Members Club. But look, Andre Onana is a charismatic signing for Manchester United, and he certainly does things his way. There will be an official announcement of Onana from Manchester United today or tomorrow, and there will be some quotes from Onana coming out. But Onana's just landed in Manchester, said Reese. No, he hasn't. He landed in Birmingham last night, and he's already in Manchester doing his medical. But don't let the truth get in the way, Reese. But Andre Onana does announcements his own way because he's already done an interview. He's already basically told us stuff that United's PR team will be sat there this morning going, oh my God, what are we going to get from the interview that's different from what he said here? Because basically he's come out with some interesting things for Manchester United fans to read, which we're going to get up on the screen for you now. So he's already done an interview post basically signing for Man United before the official announcement. And the best thing is this. I really want to start this new exciting experience with Manchester United, of course, and with a coach who's a master for me. So Erik ten Hag is a master, the best, according to Andre Onana, and he's looking forward to an exciting experience with a coach who is a master. Now, we have got a few more. We'll go through those, of course, but let's just dissect that because this is the new signing giving his interview off his own back. So, look, this is something that I think most of you will establish because you are educated people, but some people are too stupid to realise. Andre Onana has played with Erik ten Hag before. His desire to play for Manchester United is massively enhanced by the fact that Erik ten Hag wants him and is here. And Erik ten Hag has managed Onana before and knows exactly what type of goalkeeper he wants. This is not a shot in the dark, a little bit like what Havertz did yesterday in his MLS challenge. But no, look, Arteta's never played with Havertz before. He thinks there's a player there that he can get something out of him, and I think Arteta probably can. But there's different types of transfers. There's buying a player you've never played with before, but you think they're talented and you want them in your team. There's buying players that you know everything about and you know that they're going to enhance your team. And that's basically what we're doing with Onana, and that's basically what we're doing with Erik ten Hag. So, do you worry about our new style of play being worse, as Cameron? Not really, because I think it'll be. I think naturally the way that we're going to play out from the back will be more pleasing on the eye. So I don't see how it gets worse, really. So yeah, look, describing Erik ten Hag as the master is always a good thing. And then he also went on to say, I'm somebody that always wants new challenges. Playing in the Premier League for a club like Manchester United is irresistible. Remember, this is not official Manchester United announcement. We will get that at some point. This is just Andre Onana doing his own interview ahead of his move to Manchester United. So, I mean, look, we're probably not going to get that much interesting stuff out of Onana when United announce it now, are we? Because he's basically said that Erik ten Hag's the master, and coming to play for Manchester United is a challenge that he's always looking for new challenges, and playing in the Premier League with a club like Manchester United is simply irresistible, which is all the right words, Andre. Exactly, we want to hear that. And look, I think the Premier League still has that pull. Manchester United still has that pull, and the important job for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag is to maintain that pull into future years, because we haven't necessarily had it in the last decade. And then the final bit of the interview that I thought was quite interesting, he says, personally, I hope to win the Champions League with Manchester United. And again, I think this is something that you've got to acknowledge and realise. This, I mean, I find it really really, really interesting that I was doing my Talk Sport show on Sunday. And look, I know certain people probably say things because they want the reaction. We've seen it in the past. Haaland's going to flop and all this nonsense. But when I said Onana comes over into this league as one of the best goalkeepers in the league straight away, certainly in the top three, I didn't say it to wind up Arsenal fans or Chelsea fans or anybody else. I said it because I meant it. Now, if I get proved wrong, I get proved wrong. But there is no banter in that. There is no wind up in that. I actually believe it. And if I get proved right, look, the hardest thing in life is when you get proved right, because you say, well, I knew that. When you get proved wrong, everyone ridicules you. Look, I said about Højlund 6-7 weeks ago, hotter than the sun, he's coming to Man United. And he is coming to United. I'm not going to get a plaque for it. You know, probably get forgotten that I said it first. But the reality is I was right. If I'd been wrong, everyone would have told me I was wrong. Oh, you said this, you're an idiot, this, that and the other. So, look, on Onana, I think I'm right. I think he comes in as one of the best goalkeepers in the league. It's not a joke. I'm not winding you up. And listen to the words of the man himself. You know, I want a new challenge. Premier League's irresistible. I want to win the Champions League with Manchester United. This is a guy that's just been in a Champions League final and lost. He wants to win the Premier League. He wants to win the Champions League. Like, that straight away gives you a hint of the level of the goalkeeper. This straight away gives you a hint of the level of the player. You bring, you bring Mason Mount to Manchester United. He's won the Champions League before. I want to win the Champions League with Manchester United. You bring Disasi from Monaco or Amrabat from Fiorentina. They're not going to say, I want to win the Champions League with Man United and have any authority on it. I think to say those sort of things, anybody can say it. But there's a gravitas when someone like Onana says it because he's played in a Champions League final. He puts himself up at that level when it comes to his peers. So I think we're getting a real talent with a real belief and a real status in the game. And look, he's going to be micro-scrutinised. We know this. We've got to protect him at all costs. And you know, even as somebody that was a massive David De Gea fan and didn't want him to leave, my job and any De Gea fan's job is to get behind our player. That's what we've got to do because they're going to gun for him. He's going to make mistakes because that's the way he plays. You've seen him, even if you only watched him in the Champions League final, but if you watch him at Ajax, if you watched him at Inter, he will make mistakes because he takes risks. And those risks put you into better positions. You've got to take those risks. You've got to take an extra touch. You've got to let the press get right upon you to take a little move and then play it through the press. It's risky what he does. And he'll make mistakes. He'll kick the ball out. We'll concede goals. And people will jump on him, but we've got to stick with him because ultimately this is what many of you have been shouting for. I want a goalkeeper who can pass out from the back. Well, if you wanted a goalkeeper that can pass out the back and then you start moaning at him because some of his passes don't hit the target or we concede a couple of goals, then you're prats. Because the whole point, Alisson does it, Ederson does it. If you are that type of goalkeeper, you're never going to be completely immaculate because you put yourselves into positions where normal goalkeepers, old school goalkeepers, if in doubt, kick it out. These goalkeepers know their responsibility is actually to start the attack. They can't just boot it out. If Onana boots it out for a throw-in, Ten Hag will give him the eye and go, what the hell are you doing? You're meant to be starting my attack. So we'll have to protect him, but I think he's going to do well. Joseph says, I've turned 27 today. I'm doing Old Trafford tour on Friday and in Manchester for 2 days. Any good places you would recommend, says Joseph? Depends what you want to do, mate. It's fantastic nightlife in Manchester. Lots of lovely old pubs and clubs and stuff like that. Get yourself out in Manchester. Some lovely restaurants as well. Glenny Boy says, hi Mark, comparing Onana to our rivals goalkeeper is like comparing Nana to a lemon. Rival fans will be bitter when he wins the Golden Glove, says Glenny Boy. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for that. Ayot Mark, just wanted to say that I went to my first game in 1982. I've never been so in touch with what's going on until now with the United Stand. Love it, says Michael. Thank you very much for your support, Michael. Really appreciate that. So Onana's given his first interview. If you missed the first few minutes, I'm not going to go over it again, but it's not his official interview, of course, but massively you can see that he's ambitious. You can see that he's excited, and you can see that Erik ten Hag is a big pull in this for him. So look, I'm sure Man United will announce it officially today at some point, or maybe even tomorrow. But he's going to be there. Just a little bit of a breaking story coming in. Erik ten Hag has now put Amrabat on top of the priority list as new midfielder. Man United are waiting for offers for Fred, Donny van der Beek, and Scott McTominay as they need to sell before moving on. That's coming in from Sport Witness. Also, well, let's move on to Wayne Rooney's comments next, because it's been a day of comments so far. Don't forget, we've got the watch along for you this afternoon as well. 2 o'clock kickoff. We'll be live around sort of 1:30. Donny will be. A lot of people saying it's the same squad that played against Leeds. Anthony's in the squad. Donny's in the squad. So there's a couple of players that are going to play that probably that weren't involved in relation to that. But let's have a look at what Wayne Rooney's had to say, because he's put a cat amongst the pigeons a little bit today with his comments around the sale of Manchester United, which we will get into in a moment. But first of all, very interesting. You might not be aware of this, but Wayne Rooney's the agency that Rooney's part of is the same agency as Harry Maguire, if I remember correctly. So when Rooney starts talking about Harry Maguire, he will always speak about him. He was on Sky last season. He will always speak about Maguire in a positive way. But this is what he's had to say to David Ornstein. To have the armband taken off you, how does he move forward with the club? So quite a strong statement there. He says that Rooney on Maguire not being captain anymore, that shows the manager really doesn't believe in him. It leaves Harry in a position where he has to think on what he does moving forward. And he then goes on to say, I'm sure Harry will want to go and play for himself, for his England career, to put himself in the best position to be as successful as he can. The best thing now is probably for him to move. Well, as I said, I mean, I've not looked at this for a while, but I'm pretty sure that that Wayne Rooney, the agency that he was part of, is the same one that Harry Maguire is part of. So you'd imagine there's a bit of a relationship there somewhere. And he's absolutely correct. And I think some people almost feel guilty saying this, but Erik ten Hag taking the captaincy off Harry Maguire doing a public statement, Man United doing a public statement, it all seemed a little bit pantomime, but the bigger meaning is the bigger meaning. The bigger meaning is you're up for sale, mate. You know, that's basically Harry Maguire's up for sale. That's not I'm taking the captaincy off you. You might get it back in a few weeks. It's a huge statement, and some people in the industry and some people in the fan base reacted quite badly to it. They were like, that's really disrespectful for Erik ten Hag, because it doesn't mean he's taking the captaincy off him. It means he's putting him up for sale. It's the most blatant way of doing it. But I think what Rooney said, I think what a lot of people have said over the last couple of days is absolutely spot on. It is public humiliation for a player, to be honest. No matter how you dress it up, it's still public humiliation. And as many of us have been saying for probably 18 months, Maguire needs to leave Manchester United. But you know what? In defence of Ten Hag here, I was talking about Maguire and McTominay and Martial for the last few weeks. And some of you might remember what I've said. And I said, I don't know that these players have the motivation, ambition to leave Manchester United. It's too comfortable. They're on really good wages. They're at an amazing football club with an amazing fan base. And all right, we haven't got the best facilities in the Premier League, but one of the best facilities in the Premier League. These players don't jump out the page to me that they want to leave. I think if Victor Lindelof had been in Harry Maguire's position at the end of the season as fourth choice centre-back, I think he would have knocked on the door and said to Ten Hag, I want to leave because I want to play football. Because I think Lindelof's got that in him, and I think some of them have. I'm not convinced that Maguire, McTominay, Martial have that ambition in them to go, I want to go. You know, you see them in training and it's like they look like they're just comfortable, but they're nowhere near the first team. So I think in Ten Hag's case, if he sees that every day, what we see in pictures, and obviously pictures can tell lies, of course, we're not on the training ground, we might be completely off with that. But if there is any truth in that, if Erik ten Hag is sat there going, I want this guy to go, and he just won't ask to go, like, I'm going to have to do something that makes him realise then. And I think that captaincy thing is basically the kick up the backside to Maguire to just say, look, I'm not picking you, you're not part of my plans. So, you know, little press releases to people saying that you're happy here and you want to fight for your place. I'm the manager. I don't care whether you're happy. I don't care whether you want to fight for your place. I don't want you here. Go and find a move. And maybe that's what the removal of the captaincy was all about. It was about giving a bit of a kick up the backside to players that Ten Hag needs to move on. And look, I think in previous years, Ten Hag might just put up with it. But he's got to sell to buy. So and he wants to bring new players in, so he's got to get ruthless. You know, we've seen it with De Gea, we saw it with Ronaldo, and we're seeing it with Maguire now. He's got to get ruthless. Do you think the players will adopt to Onana and how he plays, says Jack. Welcome to the Members Club, Josh, and Andy Weatherall's gifted a membership as well. Saw a news Maguire asking for 20 million payoff to leave, says Mud. Well, I mean, that's got nothing to do with us, has it? Whether Man United have to pay him off or not, that's down to United's ridiculous ability to do transfers. Cloudo says Onana is a great deal for us. Let me just go back to that. Onana is a great deal for us, says Cloudo. Nate is on the train to Edinburgh right now. This is the first game I've managed to get to for over a decade. I'm absolutely buzzing up the United stands. Enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it. And Cloudo says, Onana is a great deal for us. I think his biggest test will be coming out for high balls in the Premier League, as it's much more physical league. I don't agree with that, Cloudo, to be honest. Thanks for the super chat, but look, I completely disagree. I think the Premier League in the last decade is a different league to what it was when De Gea came into it. I mean, name me a team with a tall striker that they chuck long balls into. I think in the last 10 minutes, when you're winning 1-0 and you're away at Goodison Park, they're going to bombard you with crosses to try and get a point. I agree with that, but that's not going to happen every week. I think the game has changed, and I think that how Man United adapt to Onana was one of the other questions. Martinez has played with Onana. Martinez has played with a goalkeeper that can play like that. Luke Shaw's a very technically gifted left-back. I think Delo and Wan-Bissaka can do it, and I think Varane can do it. I mean, Varane's played for Real Madrid for years. So I think the back four are more than capable of playing with a goalkeeper that can play out from the back. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think Casemiro can do it, and those 5 players are the key players for Onana anyway, because most of the time he's going to be hitting them. I think it can work. I think we need to get working on it, but I think it can work. Paul says, Mark, assuming we get Højlund, we'd still only have one striker. Wouldn't you keep Martial despite his injuries just in case? Well, we will be keeping Martial, Paul, because no one's going to buy him. And hi, Mark. We're hearing a lot about this guy, Ange, the Spurs manager. How good is he in compared to Ten Hag, says Bobby? He ain't fit to lace Ten Hag's boots. I mean, he wasn't even the first choice Spurs coach. Spurs tried 2 or 3 other managers before they went for Ange. He's done a good job at Celtic. I think he's got his work cut out at Spurs, to be honest. I don't think it'll be successful, but there we go. But what is success for Spurs now? 8th, 7th? I don't know. Whatever treatment Harry Maguire gets, he has put it at himself. His actions on and off the pitch have been disgusting, says Joseph. Okay. And Mark, is a pro makes me actually digest the fact that United finished above the Reds. Okay. Rashford's new contract, says Jay Arnold. Yeah, we spoke about that. So let's just... I just want to delve in quickly. I'm going to go back to what Rooney said about the Glazers. But I just want to say this. Man United are going to sell Tellez to Saudi Arabia for 4 million quid. Now, I saw this last night. It was quite late. I'd been watching telly. I'd had a drink, and I saw it on Twitter, and I typed something and I got off, and that's honestly what I did. Sometimes I don't do that. I interact and etc. And I basically said only United could get robbed by the Saudi Arabian League when they're giving stupid money for everybody. A few people seem to think it's a good deal. Fabrizio has said that it was the only money offer. Like, everybody in Europe wanted him on a free. So United went with the only offer on the table, which was £4 million from Al Nazir in Saudi Arabia. I mean, look, I see people being quite positive about Man United's transfer window, and I see what they're doing. This is... I don't think United themselves respect this, by the way, the people who do it, because they see it as well. I see it, they see it. You're just kissing their arse in the hope that, you'll get remembered in the future for interviews and press conference spots and this, that and the other. But the fact is, most people that work at Manchester United are not the Glazers. They're people that want Man United to do well. And they see through arse lickers, and they know what the problems are in that football club. So, arse-licking United saying, they're having a great summer. You're doing a great summer. We're being so efficient. I mean, I saw somebody last night say, Onana done, Mount done, Højlund downloading. For the first time in years, we're being really competent in the transfer window. And I'm like, how far do you want to put your head up the arse of United's recruitment team? Because you're going to suffocate. For the first time in years, we're being efficient. What? I just don't get that. I don't get it. I'm not saying it... Well, we wanted Kim Min-jae. He signed for Bayern Munich. David De Gea, we kept him past his contract hanging waiting for Onana. We've not sold anybody yet. Dean Henderson's still a player at the club. Fred's still a player at the club. We wanted Harry Kane, we didn't get him. We wanted Osman, we didn't get him. We still haven't got the striker. Mason Mount and Onana we paid market value for. I'm not saying it's a terrible transfer window, but bloody hell, if you're championing this as a good transfer window, your standards really are in the mud. This isn't even Rabiot, another player that Ten Hag wanted. This is not the summer that Eric Ten Hag wanted. And ultimately, we're going on tour with Mason Mount and a lot of players that shouldn't still be at the club. There's still a lot of work to do before you start getting your cigar out and your tongue to lick United's recruitment arse. I mean, standards. And people at Man United would agree completely with what I've just said there. John Murtaugh would probably agree with what I've just said there. There's still a hell of a lot of work to do to make this a decent transfer window. We should not be sitting back complacently going, wow, we're doing a great job so far. I think with Tellez, I look at it from two sides this morning. One, if that's the only offer on the table, you take it because we don't want to keep Tellez. Of course we don't. But £4 million is pitiful for a pay. I think we paid 12 million for him and we're selling him for 4 million. He's 30. He's just played in a bloody Europa League final, hasn't he? So I think 4 million is pitiful, but it's all we can get because we haven't. And I really want this to change. I hope we get new ownership and I hope it changes. But I get so envious of other clubs' ability to sell players. We are absolutely dreadful at selling players. We can't United offload Martial to the Saudi League, says Sud. I don't know. End of the day, Onana has played with Ten Hag. He knows how he plays before he even joins. I have no issue with Onana settling, etc. He will revolutionise the way we play, says the Irish Zombie. Thank you very much. So yeah, look, I think with the Tellez deal, it is what it is. There's a positive to remove him because we probably should have removed him 2 years ago, certainly a year ago, and we couldn't. Everybody wanted him on a free transfer. The only offer on the table was 4 million. He's gone. His wage is gone. But of course, it's pitiful. And I get the frustrations because we need to raise money. I thought we'd get at least 10 million for Tellez. I know I said 20, and I was being optimistic with 20. I was just thinking Saudi Arabia pay silly money. We might get 20. I expected 10. To get 4, it's crap. But tell me a time we've sold and it's been a good deal. I think the only good deal we've done as a sale in recent years was Dan James. And, Leeds deservedly got relegated for that. I think that was the moment Leeds got relegated when they gave us over 20 million for Dan James. So, that's their mistake. We don't sell well and we do need to sell better. But look, Tellez is gone. I would have liked more money. I wasn't shocked. We only got 4 million. Let's see what we do. I mean, the thing that worries me, if I'm being honest, and I want to talk about these Rooney comments about the Glazers, but the thing that worries me, and I saw a few people on social media this morning, and maybe it was some of you, you're absolutely spot on, is that Tellez deal going to be indicative of the future deals? Because many of us think Henderson 25, Fred 20. Does that Tellez deal mean Fred's going to go for about 12 and Henderson's going to go for about 15? And then it starts to impact because you're just shaving off 25%, 50% off every deal because you can't do deals. So I said it a few weeks ago. I know some of you agreed with me. Yes, signings are very important, but I think you judge your recruitment team on your sales. And there is easily £100 million we can raise this summer. We all said it at the start of June. At the moment, we've raised about £6 million. And, we're £95 million short. And the players are there to do it. When are we going to start doing it? In Edinburgh, come on United, great show, Mark, says Kaiser. Well, if you are in Edinburgh tonight, I hope you're staying over for the night and have a good night. Wednesday night in Edinburgh sounds fantastic. I was meant to be there. Onana's in pyjamas, he's coming down the stairs, says Dull, and thank you very much for that. So let's have a look at, DL says, what about Brandon Williams? Mate, he's on 50k a week. I mean, I don't personally think he's that good. I think looking at him last week, he looks like a senior player playing with the kids. And I know that sounds nonsense, but that's not what I meant. I mean, he looks too big for the youth team. He's not a youth player anymore, Brandon. So and Alvaro Fernandez got picked ahead of him in the first team in the first half. So it'd be interesting if he starts for the first team today, because I don't know what the future is for Brandon Williams. I don't think he's good enough, but Malacia is injured now. So does that open up a chance for him, or does it open up a chance for Fernandez? I don't think Ten Hag really rates him. He didn't use him at all last season, so I think he's up for sale. Some people in the fan base rate him and want him to do well. I don't know. I don't know which way it's going to go. But I don't think he is in Ten Hag's plans, but we might figure that out today if he starts him in the first half with the first team, and what happens with him on tour. I think there's interest in him, but the interest in Brandon Williams will be lower Premier League teams, Championship teams, and they ain't going to give him 50 grand a week. So I think a loan deal might have to be the way forward. He is unsellable. I was speaking to somebody weeks ago, and we were talking about players that were going to leave, and at that point Donny wasn't even being mentioned, and it was like Twan Sebi will go, Phil Jones will go, obviously Fred will go, and Brandon Williams was mentioned, and that person who was very, very close to the action was like, yes, but you basically got to let him go for free and pay him off, because 50 grand a week, no club that would want him is going to pay him 50 grand a week. And whose fault's that? Well, that certainly happened on Richard Arnold's watch. Ed Woodward would have been there. You know, a lot of these people would have been there. So I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with that. The Irish Zombie, will you be in Dublin for Bilbao, Mark? I won't be. I've been in Dublin a lot this year. I won't be there for that, unfortunately. Lucky to get 20 million from Maguire, says Clive. Well, we'll see what happens with Harry Maguire. I don't know how that deal happens. I don't know how that happens at all, really. Let's have a look at some of the comments from Wayne Rooney. He has spoken about Mason Greenwood, and he said, I think the best thing for Mason Greenwood now is to get out of the club and go and develop somewhere else. Interesting from Rooney. That will split the fan base again. One thing I will say about Rooney, definitely a legend of the club, definitely one of the best footballers I've ever seen. Comments are a little bit like Havertz shooting. Sometimes they're on target, sometimes they're off target. Some would say they're off target a lot. But he said on Mason Greenwood as well, I'm sure he just wants to play football, but for the club, it's image and ensuring they make the right decision. It's almost a catch-22. I think the interesting thing about Wayne Rooney is he would be tapped into conversations, certainly with potentially some players, you know, who actually are currently at Man United and able to gauge the mood. And it's interesting what Rooney says there, because what Wazza is basically saying is that Mason Greenwood just needs to focus on his football, and he needs to go and focus on his football somewhere else and rebuild his career. And that is basically what I've been hearing for months, and I think it's the logical, educated decision to make. I think United are trying to find a way to make that decision that is legally sound. But look, I mean, there is no update on Mason Greenwood. That's just obviously Wayne Rooney giving his opinion there. And he did give his opinion on the sale of the club as well. And he basically said that... What did Rooney say about the Glazers? I haven't got that quote now. Bloody lost it. Well, he spoke about... I know where I can find it, but this is what he said about the Man United in general. Huge improvements, some really good signings last season, and some good experienced players who helped the team. They're competing with one of the best teams probably of all time in Manchester City. So Wayne Rooney basically just saying that Manchester United have made progress, and that, you know, there's a lot of positives around Manchester United, but they're up against a very good Manchester City side. The only thing I would say about that is that we didn't come second. We came third, and we got turned over by Liverpool and Newcastle and Arsenal. So I don't think we are... I wouldn't read that comment and go, you know what, he's right. Man City are just better than everybody else, and we're second best. We're not even second best yet. So I still think there's a lot to be said. I can't put it up on the screen what he said about the Glazers, but this I can read. He said, this is what Wayne Rooney had to say about the Glazers. I'm sure the Glazers, will get the credit they deserve for the job they have done. I'm sure they what? I'm sure the Glazers will get the credit they deserve for the job they have done, but also they're going to get the negativity from the fans who never seem to acknowledge what they've done for the club. I'm sure it will be split, but I think a change is needed. I mean, I had to read that back a few times myself. So, yeah, I think that look, I don't lose any sleep over this, and I don't suggest any of you should. It's not the first time Rooney has spoke positively about the Glazers. It's happened a few times before, but you know, Wayne Rooney had good contracts out of the Glazers. He earned good money out of Man United, and he might have a good relationship with the Glazers. John Murta has a good relationship with the Glazers. Eric Ten Hag might have a good relationship with the Glazers. Sir Alex Ferguson has a good relationship with the Glazers. Sir Jim Radcliffe has a good relationship with the Glazers. Certain players that you idolise, Marcus Rashford might have a good relationship with the Glazers. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to get stressed or angry because somebody that you idolise has a good relationship with something that you can't stand. It's life. If your best mate says somebody you can't stand is all right, you know, let them make their mind up. They're still your best mate. So I don't really care what Rooney has to say about the Glazers, really. He's said it a few times before. At the end of the day, I think it just exposes his lack of knowledge around the football club and how bad they've been for the football club. I think it shows a lack of education, a lack of naivety, a dose of naivety. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe they're just not interested in knowing or finding out why United fans have a huge issue with the Glazers. There's nothing about the Glazer reign that makes me go, there's positives and negatives. There's just negatives. Man United have won things under the Glazer reign, but I think we'd have won more without them. I think we won things despite them, not because of them. I don't think that there's anything I would say. Welcome to the Members Club, Lion. There's nothing I would say about the Glazers when they go where I go, well, look, 20% of what they did was good and 80% was bad. I don't see any good with the Glazers. I mean, there's been good actions, but I don't acknowledge it. I don't acknowledge it as good. So, but he's not the first person to say that. I think Sir Alex would say it. I think Ollie would say it. And I love these people. Rooney said it. But it doesn't make them right, because you hold on to your opinion. The cold, harsh truth is the vast majority of this fan base, and I mean the very big vast majority, I mean you're talking minuscule, your 99.9% of the fan base is going to agree with what I say now. The Glazers haven't done good for the football club. The Glazers don't split decision. The Glazers aren't somebody that should be acknowledged as good people when it comes to football. Maybe they are good people in real life. I doubt it, but maybe they are. But in relation to running our football club, they have been an absolute disaster. They've plunged us into debt. They've let Old Trafford rot. They've presided over a decade of terrible failure. They've taken money out of the football club. They've employed their mates. They've kept people in positions of power who are bankers who help them buy the club, who know nothing about football. The apathy, the laziness, the greed. There's nothing good about it, and it can only be a lack of education that people come out with comments like that and say they'll split decision, they've done some good at the club. But maybe if you're a player at Man United over the last 10, 15 years, you do acknowledge the Glazers as good because you've earned bloody good money out of them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're the schmucks, we're the idiots. The players over the last few years and the Glazers have probably made very, very good money by being very, very average. We paid ridiculous money. I mean, you look at what United have achieved over the last 10 years, next to nothing, and then you look at what we've paid. We may not have consistently topped the Premier League, but we've consistently topped, for the last decade, Premier League wages league. So I'm not surprised there's players at Man United who speak or don't have an issue with the Glazers, because they've been paid like kings and, delivered next to nothing. So, look, I've spent a little bit longer than I wanted to do talking about that, but it's true. I mean, they say never meet your heroes. I don't be that harsh. I just think that footballers are geniuses with their feet, But there's not many footballers out there that are geniuses with their feet and geniuses with their brains. Their talent has been put into their feet, not necessarily into their brains. And a lot of these footballers live very sheltered lives as well. A lot of these footballers aren't spending their time educating themselves on the politics of the football clubs that they play for. They haven't got their finger on the pulse of how fans feel. They spend a lot of the times with people telling them how great they are, and they don't have to think. So I don't worry about stuff like that. I really don't. Bloody Rio was going on the other couple of years ago about how good Mike Ashley was as an owner for Newcastle, wasn't he? I mean, it's just a lack of education for a lot of them, and I think they're not in touch, and they're idolised because of what they did on the pitch. But off the pitch, most of you will have a more in-depth knowledge and an opinion on what's best for your football club. Every transfer window, it's the same, says Marky. And welcome to the member. We've done that one as well. Okay, so we've spoken about Tellez. Obviously, haven't spoken about it yet, but we'll speak about it now. Rasmus Højlund. A lot of people... Aaron says, what time is kick-off tonight? Well, it's not kicking off tonight, Ryan. It's kicking off... Aaron, it's kicking off at 2 p.m. UK time. So Man United against Lyon at 2 p.m. today. Dan, welcome to the Members Club. Where's the preview, Mark? Fucking hell. Sorry to swear. I mean, if you want a preview for a pre-season game, I can't speak. I mean, God. What do you even do in that? Wow, we're going to pick one team in the first half, one team in the second half. Lyon are going to pick one team in the first half, one team in the second half. Yeah, this is not about previews. It's about watching it, enjoying it, seeing how players are working, looking at their fitness improving. I mean, to be honest with you, in relation to actual performance as a team, I think it's somewhat irrelevant until we get Onana there, because we're not learning as a team. I think Ten Hag at the moment will be fitness. It's just fitness. These first couple of weeks, it's fitness. But he does need to start looking at technique and tactics. But first couple of weeks, yeah, it's all about fitness, really, for us. On Rasmus Højlund, look, reality bites. There is no deal that's going to get done for Rasmus Højlund that's going to get him on that US tour, is there? I did say this. I said, look, it would be stunning if it happened. It's not going to happen. United, I don't think United are close to getting that deal done for the in the next 2 weeks. I think there's I know there's a lot of patience from the players' side and Ten Hag's side and Atalanta's side and Man United's side. It's not a high tension transfer, but it doesn't make sense for Manchester United to sign him in the next week or two, because Man United are going to be on tour and he's not going to be there. I think Højlund early August, like Raj says. I think that's when this happens. I think United will almost be scheduling things now, and I think it'll be, let's get Onana done. We worked hard to get that one. Let's go on tour and enjoy ourselves. Work on the deal. Leave Murta and co back behind, and then we'll come back from the tour and we'll do everything here. Because of course, Man United, as big as they are in the world, they'll be taking a huge team to the States around PR, commercial, social. So there won't be many being left behind to work on preparation for a Højlund deal. And of course, Erik Ten Hag and many other people will be in the States. So if you do sign Højlund and he's done his medical, who's going to be there for him for the announcement? So I don't see Højlund happening for a couple of weeks, and no striker for the tour is a shambles, says AK. Well, we'll use Rashford there, won't we? But Rashford can't play 90 minutes in every single game, so we'll have to find some other solution. Maybe we'll see false nine or something like that. But yeah, as I say, I think we'll get there in the end. But it absolutely amazes me that, and it can only be arse licking. It absolutely amazes me that people are sat there going, United are doing really well. United are doing really well in the transfer window. We've got so many things done so early in the transfer window. I'm like, it's not June the 19th. It's July the 19th. This transfer window is over halfway there. We're going on pre-season tour with players that shouldn't be here and players that should be here. So I don't think it's a terrible transfer window, but I certainly don't think it's one to be shouting about yet, because there's still a lot of balls to pot. And I don't see a lot happening on tour, to be honest. Dreading to hear current and ex-players' opinions on the Glazers when they're gone. It will be annoying when they find a voice when it no longer counts. It's Netflix and Chilwell. Love the name. Dan, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much there. Well, I think that those of you who've been vocal about the Glazers and Qatar over the last 6 months, I applaud, because you've actually had an opinion on something that you have to have an opinion on. When it comes to the sale, it absolutely amazes me how certain people who are very vocal about David De Gea in goal, and very vocal about Bruno Fernandes, and very vocal about, Anthony Martial, and very vocal about the treatment of Harry Maguire, but when it comes to two very distinctive options on United's future, I'm not going to say anything about that. What do you mean you're not going to say anything about that? A full sale, or the Glazers stay and the debt stays? Nah, it's too difficult. Oh, but you'll have a pop at De Gea in the way he distributes the ball. But even though he won the Golden Glove, you'll have a big say. You'll write an article about that one. You'll spend 5 minutes moaning about it on TV. But you won't have a say on full sale or keep the Glazers. That's amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And I think, again, we know why those people have kept quiet, because they're arse licking as well. They don't want to upset either party, because they're like, what's in it for me, baby? What's in it for me? So, keep the receipts if you want. But don't keep the receipts. Welcome to the real world. People don't say things about things that might damage their reputation in the future. And they will say stuff about things that they know it's safe to say stuff about. Maguire is good at centre midfield, says Among Us. Yeah, I think on that one, it's time for me to leave. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the show this morning, but I'm going to enjoy the watch along a lot more, because we get to watch a bit of football this afternoon. So it's a 2 o'clock kickoff on this afternoon. We will be live for the watch along probably from about 1:30. I mean, it's not a proper game, so I'm not going to go live for team news or anything like that stuff. I'm not an idiot. But we will be live before. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe so you get your notification. And we will see you a little bit later. And don't forget Anthony. Anthony's going to be playing today. I'm really excited about that. I think it's a big season for him, and nobody's really mentioned him. Donny putting himself in the shop window potentially, and then everyone who played last week. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for this morning, and I'll speak to you in a bit.